As you know, this has been a difficult time for the Bethel Park School District as we said farewell to our superintendent, Dr. Thomas Knight, who passed away last month. There's no adequate way for me to summarize Dr. Knight's 5.5-year tenure here in Bethel Park. He came to us at a time when there was much financial and administrative instability and quickly took hold of the reins to stabilize the district at a critical time in its history. His calm, steady demeanor brought an immediate sense of relief to the district. He built a solid, collegial team of administrators, and he gave them the guidance and the tools they needed to do their jobs. His primary concern was what was best for the children, the students of this district. But he also cared for every employee in this district, no matter what role they played, and he felt a kinship with the residents of Bethel Park, having his own son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter as residents as well. We are a better school district because of Dr. Knight's leadership, and the hole he has left in the district and in our hearts will be difficult to fill. His presence will be felt among us for a long time. We want to honor his memory by continuing the work he began here. We want to carry it out in a respectful and ethical manner, just like he taught us. And we always put the students first, just like he taught us. Our condolences continue to go out to his family, who lost a son, husband, father, grandfather, brother, and friend. At this time, would you please join me in a moment of silence to remember the life of Dr. Thomas A. Knight? Please stand. Thank you. I need an intent to adopt the agenda for business items.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 8-0. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 30th, 2011, and the special meeting for general purposes of July 28th, 2011.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 8-0. I need to announce executive sessions held July 19th, 2011 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. July 28th, 2011 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. August 23rd, 2011 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. And August 25th, 2011 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. Staff report.
We have no report this evening.
Student government isn't up and running. PTA and PTO isn't up and running. Solicitor's report.
I've submitted a written report.
Very good. We haven't had any committee meetings to have reports, so we're good on that one. Any public comments on agenda items? Agenda items only.
Beverly Turner, Chris Road, Bethel. I had an early chance to read some of the adjustments, the facilities and services, and I was just wondering on my own, and why some of these things, like cracks, that we are having to pay for in the construction on floors and so forth. I would think that that's part of the construction people's responsibility. The school isn't even moved into yet, and we're doing that. And also I was wondering why, on my own of course, we're putting up temporary doors. We do need doors, put up the permanent doors, and put temporary ones up for such a short period of time and then go into the other ones at expense like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move into business items. Curriculum Committee and Mr. Spacuzzi. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this, I had talked to you, Ms. Rose, about speaking, and I thought you said it was going to be at this meeting, but I don't see my name here, about the gates and the appeals board hearing that we had. I mentioned to you that I wanted to bring it up so that
You can do that
Okay,
at the end of the meeting.
That's when we have open discussion. Yes, sir. Anyone else for agenda items? Okay. Mr. Spacuzzi, Curriculum Committee, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. Seeing 3 items under Curriculum Committee tonight, would anyone like any of the items held out separately? If not, I would like to move the following items: approval of curricula, exploring technology, 6th grade, Spanish 2, Spanish 2 honors, Spanish 3 honors, and Spanish 4 honors, 2011-12 Title I and Title II-A, and item number 3, elementary and school tutoring program.
Second.
That time I got 2 seconds. Items 1 through 3 under Curriculum Committee have been moved by Mr. Spikuza and seconded by Mr. Amidits. Any questions or comments on any of these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Personnel Committee and Mrs. Rule.
I move that items 1 through 15 under personnel be adopted. 1 being approval of substitutes, 2, approval of extra duty responsibility program, 3, acceptance of resignation, 4, recall from furlough, 5, approval of leaves of absence, and 6, appeal to extend unpaid leave of absence, 7, approval to extend temporary assignment, a long-term substitute, approval of adjustment to hourly rate for substitute computer technician, approval of staffing changes, approval of support staff furloughs, change of assignment, approval of appointment of personnel, and approval of administration tuition reimbursement, approval to create job classifications, and approval of administrative adjustment.
Second.
Items 1 through 15 under Personnel have been moved by Mrs. Rule and seconded by Mr. Sustage. Any discussion on these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Facilities and Service Committee and Mr. Sustage.
Yes, there are 3 items under Facilities and Services. Would anybody like any items held out? Hearing none, I'd like to move item number 1, revising the technology bid for the new high school. Item number 2 is the approval of transportation bus runs for and schedules for the 2011-2012 school year. Item number 3 is approval of change orders for the high school project. And I'll just summarize them. There's a change order to Mascaro Construction, total amount of $274,704.47. Change order to Callista Electric in the amount of $199,853.50. Change order to Rabel Plumbing in the amount of $878. Change order to ATC Systems, Tiscalese Industries in the amount of $1,222.10. And finally, change order to Westmoreland Electric in the amount of $14,268.02.
I need a second. Thank you. Items 1 through 3 under Facilities and Service Committee have been moved by Mr. Sustage and seconded by Mr. Rose. Any questions or comments on these items?
Are you accepting comments from the audience, or is that just from the board right now?
Just from the board. Anything from the board? I'm sorry, Mr. Sustage.
I was just going to make a comment. There was a question about temporary doors. The temporary doors were put in place because we've turned on the air conditioning units in the building to allow us to condition the air, to put the carpeting down. So we have to have temporary doors and lock sets to maintain the door closures during construction and during the evening. Prior to that, we've had open access in the building, uncontrolled access. But since we're air conditioning, we have to close up the door sets. Well, some of the openings are covered with plywood. The doors in this area, we needed to put doors in the way the hinges and the door frames were put in place.
I know. We could maybe have Mr. Howard answer that question for you after the meeting at this point in time. These were all things that were discussed at our committee meeting. That's when the discussion goes on for a lot of these items. And at this time, I think he could better explain to you what you're asking about at this point in time.
No, ma'am, that's not right. That's not right. This should be a permanent part of the record here, because you're asking people to approve change orders on things that should be architectural responsibility in the first place. Some of these changes, I happened to be at one of the job meetings, and I was shocked at how a rubber stamp, our representatives at that meeting were just rubber stamping everything.
Well, let me
beg to
just
differ
respond.
with
That's
that.
why we had comments on the agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. And we're not out of order. It's, if you would have gotten up and asked those questions, it would be on the record. During the course of the board meeting, we do not accept questions or comments from the public.
She asked specifically about the back and forth.
We'll answer that afterwards.
The man was addressing us. He was addressing the public, and the public was answering him. If you're not going to have response from the public, then you shouldn't address the public. But somebody ought to look into it. We're wasting a lot of money.
Any other questions or comments from the board on facilities and services? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Finance Committee and Mr. Rhodes.
There are 15 items under the Finance Committee agenda. Anybody like any of them held out separately? If not, I move the approval of the following items. Number 1, July and August 2011 salaries and bills. Number 2, June 2011 financial report. Number 3, July 2011 financial report. Number 4, approval of student service contracts. Number 5, approval of out-of-district special education students. Number 6, approval of activity fee. Number 7, approval of increasing athletic ticket prices. Number 8, approval of the season and all sports passes. Number 9, approval of agreement with Verizon that it relates to the new high school. Number 10, approval of awarding of musical instrument bid. Number 11, approval of the purchase of portable tables for Independence Middle School. Number 12, reject the exercise equipment bids. Number 13, approval of DART Care Agreement, that is a recycling service for
The styrofoam
cups. Thank you. Couldn't think of it.
containers.
Number 14, acceptance of donation from the Boys and Girls Soccer Boosters. And number 15, items declared unused and unnecessary, and I move the approval of those items.
Second.
Items 1 through 15 under Finance Committee have been moved by Mr. Rose and seconded by Mr. Spacuzza. Any questions or comments on any of these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Policy Committee, and Mrs. Buckley, would you take that from
Yes,
me this
thank you.
evening?
We're going to start with number 1, is waive of the procedure. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to waive the procedure requiring 3 readings for policy 242, which is extracurricular activities.
I need a second.
Second.
Item 1, the waiver of the procedure requiring 3 readings for policy 242, extracurricular activities, has been moved by Mrs. Buckley and seconded by Mr. Rose. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Mrs. Buckley.
Thank you. Moving on to number 2, I move the approval of policy. It's the first and final reading of 242, extracurricular activities.
Second.
Item 2 under Policy Committee has been moved by Mrs. Buckley and seconded by Mr. Rose. Any discussion of this item? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 8-0. And Mrs. Buckley.
And motion number 3, I move the approval of policy for the first of 3 readings.
Doesn't require a motion, Donna, that's just the first
Oh,
reading.
that's right. We're just, correct.
Oh.
It's just
Okay, so
announced that
just
we're,
now, excuse me,
Yeah.
all right. The 815.1 for social media.
and now we are to public comments on anything that you wish to address the board on. Sir, this will be your time to come to the mic. Yes, sir.
My name is Bob Beach. I am the chairman of the Bethel Park Building and Fire Code Appeals Board. When someone in our township wants to build a project, they take it to the building inspector, and he gives them either permission or turns them down for whatever reason. And if you don't like what reason he turns you down, you can appeal to us, and we rule on it. The school board had a situation, I'm sorry.
Mr.
the
Beach,
school district.
Mr. Beach, please address the board. It's your turn to address the board.
I was talking to this, I'm sorry.
Yeah, talk to us. Thanks.
Do you want to raise it up so it's easier for you? There you go.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, the school had a situation where they wanted to install gates to restrict traffic through the building. And it was turned down by the building inspector, and it was turned down once by our committee. And the school board or whomever took it to a judge, and the judge asked us to re-review it because there was additional testimony and evidence that was shown to him that was not shown to us the first time. We reviewed it, and to make a long story short, possibly it would not have been approved except for a very moving speech by Dr. Knight. During this speech, Dr. Knight promised that first first off, one of the reasons why we also approved it was the only time, the second time was the only time we had the specs on the gates, and we saw how they were automatic opening in the case of a fire or what have you. When the alarm went off, the gates were spring-loaded and went up. Secondly, the gate company sent an expert, and he also explained how the gates work. But the most moving and the biggest reason why we felt that we could approve the gates was, like I said, what Dr. Knight said. And Dr. Knight said that these gates would not be used during a school day. They would only be used when the gym, the pool, or the auditorium was being used, because the intent of the gates was to prohibit traffic throughout the rest of the school when the gym, the pool, or the auditorium was being used. Also, there were supposed to be 2 exits at all times, no matter what side of the gate you were on. You were not supposed to be restricted from exiting the building anywhere at all. If you were caught in a fire situation and the gates didn't go up or whatever, you still had to have a way of getting out. Now, this I don't know anything at all about what your design is for the lighting or the emergency lighting or whatever, but because of this stipulation where people have to have exit out of the building, if these gates are down when the building is being used, there should be some provision for emergency lighting being on. Also, Dr. Knight said that these gates would be maintained at all times. I just wanted to make sure that this got in to be a permanent record, because I was very, very impressed with Dr. Knight, as it seems like everybody that ever met him is, and it was totally on his speech. I don't know if you know how our organization works, but there really is only 2 members left, and you have to have a majority vote for your change. And if there's only 2 and one of us do not vote for you, then you don't get your variance. And quite honestly, I was not going to vote for this change until Dr. Knight stood up and told us how much he cared about the kids and how he would see that things were done right. And I just wanted to make sure that this was put in the record to honor Dr. Knight.
Thank you. I appreciate that and the kind words for Dr. Knight.
I'm Steve Husser, 5600 Library Road, apartment 16A. I just kind of want to reiterate what some of the comments that happened during the passing of the change orders. I'm kind of disturbed by how all that just went down. That's about $500,000 of change orders, and I understand that when you're constructing a huge building, a $93 million project or whatever exactly it is, there's going to be some changes, but $500,000 worth, and the completely legitimate point about why are we already paying for fixing cracks in a building that hasn't been used. There's stuff about $5,000 for a larger wrestling mat. I don't understand how that's not something that's known in advance, why that needs to be something that's changed afterwards. There's $22,000 to demolish the South Gym early. Why are we doing that? Why is that necessary? Why is that going to cost $22,000? I mean, these are answers that I feel the public deserves an answer to, and I don't understand why we have to defer to Mr. Howard to answer questions about that. I mean, the school board is passing this. You guys are voting on making these changes. How can you not be able to explain things that you're voting on? I just think the public deserves some explanation about $500,000 of change orders in the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Anna Boardley, 3680 Ashland Drive. First, let me say this looks wonderful. The new carpeting, the paint, and I understand we're getting new chairs for those of us who sit in the hard seats. So that'll be nice. This has been spoken to a couple times, and it's change orders. Now, it's my understanding we had $2.5 million in a contingency fund. You increased that to $5 million, and I believe, did you increase it to $5 million? The contingency fund.
We're working with.
There was a motion here to increase it.
We did increase it.
We're working with
3.750,000. 3.7. So 3 million.
And we felt that the number that was set didn't take into account Green Globe. That it wasn't really fair to keep that under the $2 million. The $2 million was set, $2.5 million was set at the beginning of the project as our contingency fund.
But Green Globe isn't coming out of the contingency fund.
That's why we increased the contingency fund, because Green Globe was coming out of the contingency fund.
So now
which
that
created
you're not
numbers.
taking it out of the contingency fund and you're taking it out of the money that we borrowed that exceeded the cost of the construction, where are we in the contingency fund? How much money do you have in there, and how much money have we spent?
Do we have those figures at hand easy, Mr. Howard, or you can get that to her?
Right now, we're working with a contingency of $3,750,000. We've spent $2,509,000. Not including the Green Globe. That $2.5 million does not include the Green Globe of $423,000.
Okay, because that report isn't in here. The contingency fund report. I agree with the questions that were raised, and I'm not going to raise them again, but you really start wondering when your contingency fund is now covering damage in the construction. So
well, there are some things, Ann, we can't discuss because they are legal matters, and they will be dealt with along a legal channel as well. So there are some things that we cannot.
I was hoping that might be the case. So thank you.
Thank you.
I too want to address some of these cost items, but my question is, where is our architect? What kind of design did we get? Why are we having changes like infill crack in cafeteria interior floor? Is this a design problem? Is this a bad workmanship problem? Why are we paying for it? Revised athletic locker base. Well, why wasn't it designed right in the first place? Site work changes, $177,000 worth of site work changes. Why weren't these in the original plans? All these changes, and I got to tell you, folks, in my capacity as the chairman of the appeals board, okay, it was agreed to let me go visit the site, and I got to tell you, it was scary to sit in on that meeting and see how these changes were rubber stamped. There was nobody to even question whether or not it was an architectural problem or a contractor problem, whatever. Oh, we want a change order. Okay. We want a change order. Okay. We want a change order. Okay. Just money just flying out the door.
Well, I would beg to differ with that. I have sat through the construction meetings as well, and we have a construction management team that is doing such a top-notch job. I can't even sing the praises of Dave Disk high enough. So I, as a board member, feel very confident that we are assessing every single change order, getting the numbers down, and as I said, there are some legal issues that will be dealt with, but those are things that we cannot openly discuss at this moment in time. Does anybody have anything they would like to add to that?
Yes,
Cynthia,
please,
I
I
know you've
would.
attended.
I've been attending the meetings on a regular basis for quite some time, and I have to say that, as what Mrs. Cook just said, the people that we have working with us and for us have worked very hard, and there's a lot of information, sir, that maybe you're not aware of, but they have been working diligently together, and I personally have been very impressed with the things that have gone on, where some of those folks step up and they've actually saved us money. And there are situations here that they are addressing, and I have to say to you that I disagree with what you say. Thank you.
One other question, then. I'll just bring up one more item.
Well, we'll let you go this time, but usually you're only allowed to come to the microphone 2 times according to Robert's rules, but go ahead.
Honestly, if I talk...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Provide guardrails on the roof, $7,671.20. Why? It's a safety issue. It's an OSHA issue. It should have been part of the design in the first place. Why is that a change order? Why is that not an architectural expense or a contractor expense? I believe I haven't read the contract, but most contracts, okay, either the architect's responsible to meet the building codes, or if he does not meet the building codes, he often makes the contractor responsible for meeting the codes, okay? This was a code item, and it should have been met.
I just want to reiterate what Mrs. Cook said. It's hard sometimes to sit here and not be able to respond because we are involved in possible legal complications. Even if it's a design error, it still has to be corrected. Ultimately, who's responsible for that will be decided. If OSHA requires a fence on the roof and it wasn't put there by design, we can't say we're not going to put that on now, but we can say at some point in time whose responsibility it is. So, as I say, it's difficult here because we are involved in some legal issues, and ultimately they will be worked out, I can assure you.
But are you not agreeing to pay for them right now?
Well, if we don't agree to pay for them, they don't get put up, and if someone gets hurt because they don't get put up, then we have major liability major liability issues with the district. So do we say, well, we don't think it's our responsibility, so we're not going to pay for it, and now we're into a battle on whose responsibility it is, someone falls off the roof. So we have to put it up.
Any other public comments for the board?
Brenda Pacor, 3224 Arapahoe Road. I'm going a totally different direction. As most students prepare for the start of the new school year, our students remain on pins and needles as the rumors abound that teachers plan to walk out again on our children. Work stoppage, slow down, strike, no matter what you call it, it hurts our children's education and it diminishes Bethel Park as a community. Now that the arbitrator's decision is thrown out, I guess that puts us back to square one. Today, a hearing was held on the eastern part of Pennsylvania for House Bill 1369 to put an end to teacher strikes in Pennsylvania. While we wait for the arduous process of getting legislation passed, I ask the board to remain focused on what you can do. Do you ever wonder why Bethel Park teachers walk out on our students so often? Because they have been rewarded for their poor behavior in the past. I ask that you remain firm and do not reward the foot-stomping temper tantrums and pleas to compromise from those who are unwilling to face the reality of the economic situation and the consequences of their own behavior. Last year, they disrupted the entire community with a 6-week walkout. Our students may have eventually been in school for 100 days, but I dare say no child in Bethel Park received the 100 days of instruction entitled to them. Not one. For that travesty, there must be no reward, no retroactive pay for last year, and no step movement for last year. Last November, members of the Federation showed up at a board meeting in their little matching t-shirts, script in hand, to wax on and on about how they loved their job and demand that you alone compromise. There is not a need for the board to compromise. In fact, I think you have offered too much. The taxpayer has given and given, and the running of our schools has suffered under the burden of a contract with so many inherent absurdities. To the members of the community who have not read that contract, there's a copy available here in this building and also one at the Bethel Park Public Library, and it can be researched online. Read it. It'll curl your hair. If the Federation leadership wants to set the tone of negotiations, then they can start by apologizing to every student they hurt with their actions last year. They can step forward and promise that this year they will negotiate in good faith and will not walk out on the students, that they are here to serve. They can step up to the plate and acknowledge that while the public sector has taken pay freezes and pay cuts to save their jobs, the Federation continued to rake in hefty raises and step increases while contributing next to nothing for their health care. It's now time for the teachers to thank the community that has provided you with employment. It's time to demonstrate a work ethic to our children and to your bosses, the taxpayers of Bethel Park. Assure the children that you will not walk out on them again. Assure the taxpayers that you will give 110% to your job to prove that you deserve any future raise. Assure the board that you are intelligent enough to understand the economic realities of the day and that you know they cannot give you money that isn't there without cutting programs. There is no reason for a teacher to not accept an HMO. The board has offered them the option of keeping their current plan if they pay the approximately $600 annual difference. If keeping the current insurance plan is not important enough for a user to pay $600 a year for, then why should it be important enough for the taxpayers to have to foot that bill?
Wrap up, please.
I will. Bear in mind that our students are now being asked to pay $50 to participate in extracurricular activities. This would be a good time for teachers to say thank you, but I can live without that free pass for myself and a guest to get into school events that parents and students must pay for. It would be a very small dent in the budget, but a way to demonstrate to the community that they are grateful for their employment and willing to work with the community for a fair contract. What is most astounding is the needlessness of this whole process. Our teachers are well compensated. I want, and I believe most of the community wants them to be well compensated, but to continually demand more and more and more is unrealistic. To hurt your employer and your customer and then ask for more money is just plain stupid. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that there's a lot of points that I agree in with what she just said. I think everyone in the community does not want another strike. That's not in the interest of anyone. That's going to hurt parents. It's going to hurt students. I don't think anyone wants that, and I absolutely agree that there is room for the teachers to be compromising. But I guess I came up here because I want it to be known that it's not the sentiment of the entire community to take this insanely hardline stand and not compromise on anything. I actually think, I've taken a close look at kind of both sides' proposals, and I think there's room for both sides of compromise. I definitely agree that the teachers, we're in pretty difficult economic times. I understand I think that the teachers need to be aware of that and be willing to compromise on some of these contributions to the health plan. When steps go up in salaries, I definitely think there's room for the teachers to compromise, but I also think there's room for the board and the administration to compromise on too, in terms of number of class periods that the teachers are forced to teach. That's just going to lead to larger class size, which is not in the interest of the student. The length of teacher day, length of teacher year. These are some issues that really don't cost money, or don't cost that much money, and that the board and the administration, I think can compromise on. So I would like to see both sides. I know the arbitrator made his decision at the end of July, and I emailed and asked the board this week if there had been negotiations since that time, and I was told there wasn't, and that's kind of disappointing to me. We're right on the edge of another school year with the potential for a strike. Why aren't there negotiations going on to try to avoid a strike and to try to come to an agreement? So I do hope that both sides, both the teachers union and the board administration, are willing to give a little bit and come together and get an agreement done so that the students and parents are not hurt by another work stoppage. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with Brenda totally. I had said in the past and mentioned about the fact that the people don't have that kind of money, and you as a school board have done, I think in this you've really come to the plate with it. And you have to be willing to cooperate, and they've got to realize most companies in the next 10 years are not going to have any kind of benefits, and that's going to hurt. As a teacher, yeah, most of them, or many of them, have lifetime jobs. How many other people in public service can say that? You don't know tomorrow whether you're going to be working or where your next dollar or paycheck would be coming from. They should be willing to give up something, hold the line. Nobody asked them to take a cut in pay, as a lot of people have been doing. And like I said last month, we are the employers, not the employee, and we shouldn't be held by the neck or whatever and be forced to do some of this stuff. I mean, we just can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll move into board comments. Mr. Spicuzza. Did I do your side first last time? I was not here in July, so I don't know.
I truly don't remember.
Okay.
I'm just happy to see everyone here tonight. It's been a short summer, I think. It doesn't never last long enough. Just a couple comments on some of the comments that I've heard tonight. I think that what Mrs. Pazer said, I think you should all take a chance if you have the time, read the contract, and then we'll talk about other issues. Just go read the contract. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mrs. Buckley.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. I would just like to wish the students in our school district a happy school year, and the professionals who work very hard and are there for the children, I wish them all well. Thank you.
Mr. Sestich.
I didn't have a lot I was going to say, but I wanted to bring up procedural points so everybody understands it. During the regular month, we actually generally have two public meetings. This is a voting meeting. We also have a committee meeting. It's like more of a working session. In that committee meeting, we go down things like change orders, line by line, to understand what a change order is. Just because you see a one-line sentence here doesn't mean it's a one-line bill. There's a lot more of information behind it, and that information is usually readily available during a committee meeting. When we come here to vote, we've already had that discussion. Committee meetings are open to the public. We encourage everybody to come because during those meetings, there are working sessions, and you'll learn a lot more about what sits behind a lot of these things that we vote on. Again, normal, like I said, did say the normal school year. The summer is a difficult time to have meetings. And see me later on the crack on the floor. I'll give you some insight.
My turn?
Mr. Rose.
Before we meet again, the students will be back in school, so welcome back. I hope they have a great year. I hope they have a great uninterrupted year. And tonight we gave our assistant superintendent, who is now our acting superintendent, a raise. And Nancy, I just want to say thank you for all you've already done, and we know you're going to go through for the next while. Money won't ever be enough. We need to really say thank you for all that you do, for all that you've done, and you carry us through. I'd thank the rest of the staff, but I'd start naming names, I'd forget somebody. So Nancy, to you and all the staff, thank you so much for carrying us through this time.
Thanks, Dick. Mrs. Rose, did you want to?
I do want to say something, and first of all, thank you for those kind words, Mr. Rose, and I appreciate very much the acknowledgement on the part of the board. I also want to acknowledge two special people this evening who have been helping our school district to save money in a very quiet and intrusive way. Brandon Romer, who is our Director of Facilities, has initiated recycling efforts across the district, but also in kind of an innocuous way, saved us thousands of dollars this year simply by having the school students stack their cafeteria trays. By doing that simple gesture, it saved room in our dumpsters, which reduced the number of pickups we need and saved us significant funds. And then Joe Consolmagno, our Director of Food Services, took it a step further and pursued getting a recycling piece of equipment for the styrofoam to also help save money in those dumpsters and also help our earth stay a little bit greener. So we want to thank them. And I also want to put a little shout out to our entire administrative team who have worked tirelessly this summer to really pull together and prepare us for what we hope will be a much better school year. So thank you to the team.
Thank you. Mrs. Rule.
At Steele Center, we're going to really start kicking off the year, and one of the things we will be doing with the chambers, we're going to be having a program on the 14th of September that will be geared to where the jobs are in southwestern Pennsylvania in the trades, and they will be talking about what jobs are already on the list and looking for people, what those salaries would be and that type of thing. So just wanted to let you know if anyone's interested and you want more information, just give me a call and I'll give you the information.
Thank you. Mr. Schubel.
Thank you. I just want to personally acknowledge the loss of Dr. Knight. I consider him a great friend, and he was a wonderful superintendent. And having said that, he would be pleased to know that our current leadership team of Matt Buzzy and Mrs. Rose are in place and doing a wonderful job, and I'm sure he would bless that. So I just want to acknowledge that. Also, to Mrs. Rule's comments, her and I have kind of been on the soapbox about alternate education, if you will. I'll be leaving this board December of this year, but I might have a hell of a lot to say about that in the next 3 or 4 months. So just want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Amiditz.
Yes, not to beat a dead horse, but I just want to agree with all the comments that my fellow board members have said, and I just want to add a little bit on to a few of them. And I guess it's about the rules of order and so forth and the committee. First of all, the committee meeting is held, and we do have our work sessions. The committee meeting is a public meeting, and everything that goes on at the committee meeting does become part of the permanent record. It was intimated before that does not happen, but indeed it does. Second of all, I just want to say, and I don't know that I'm going to speak for my board members at this time, but I personally have no problem hearing from the public the comments. I enjoy hearing the comments from the public because I feel that myself and the other board members are human. We can't catch everything, and a little extra eye on the ear and from other people won't hurt. But what I feel is a problem is the yelling and shouting from the floor, because I feel that that doesn't do a bit of good. And it would help if we follow the rules that are set forth from the agenda and the ones that are posted on the agenda. I just feel that that would be a bit more helpful, because I don't believe we make progress when the yelling occurs. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always hard to go last because everyone pretty much sums up what you want to say. Dick eloquently thanked Mrs. Rose. I likewise, Chuck eloquently thanked Dr. Knight, and I hope that we can carry on his work, because while I worked under several superintendents on this board, surprisingly, the short time, 8 years I've been on, we've had a number of different superintendents, and I have to say that Dr. Knight was truly one of a kind. And I hope that we can continue to let his mentoring and guidance guide us into the future, particularly as we continue to finish this high school project, which I think was one of his shining moments in the district. Thanks, everyone, for all that you do. I hope that we do have an uninterrupted school year this year. From a personal standpoint, I had a senior last year, and his education was interrupted significantly. He never got back on track, and though he put in 180 days in the district, he did not get 180 days of education, no matter what we tried to do. Thankfully, he got moved into Duquesne last week and has started his first week of classes on a positive note. So I'm going to try to get past what we went through last year and begin again on that positive note. And on that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn. Second.
Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm State Representative Matt Smith, and I'm happy to invite you to my 5th Annual Senior Fair. The event will take place Thursday, October 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Galleria Mall located at 1500 Washington Road. You'll find information about programs and services available to you and your family. My staff will also be on hand to answer questions on any state issues. You won't want to miss the free health screenings and free flu shots. If you're insured through Medicare or other insurance, please bring your card. Last year, over 1,000 people attended the fair and over 500 people received immunization against seasonal flu. This will be my 5th year holding the event, and every year I'm fortunate to have more and more attendees every single year. It has become a one-stop shop for seniors to get information on services available to you. For more information on the event, please call my office at 412-571-2169 or visit my website at www.pahouse.com/msmith. Again, that's Thursday, October 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Galleria Mall at 1500 Washington Road. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm State Representative Matt Smith, and I'm happy to tell you about an event that I'm hosting with Bethel Park. It's a paper shredding and recycling event that we're holding on Saturday, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the parking lot of Independence Middle School at 2807 Bethel Church Road. Consumer fraud and identity theft are occurring with more frequency in our community. To raise awareness and promote prevention, I'm hosting this event with Bethel Park in a safe and secure way to destroy unneeded documents free of charge. The shredding occurs on site and the paper is later recycled. You can even watch the paper be destroyed. You can bring papers containing personal information such as credit card statements, application, bank statements, income tax information, and personal health information. At previously held shredding events, we've destroyed several tons of paper. And if you're interested in obtaining additional information, please contact my office at 412-571-2169. Again, that's Saturday, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Independence Middle School. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm State Representative Matt Smith, and I'll be hosting a special tribute to Vietnam War veterans on Thursday, November 3rd from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Bethel Park Community Center. I began this effort in 2008 with an effort to recognize veterans of World War II, and last year we honored Korean War veterans. I'm honored to continue this effort by hosting the event to recognize Vietnam War era veterans for their sacrifice to our nation. If you are a veteran and would be interested in attending this special event, please contact my office. While we will specifically be honoring Vietnam veterans, all veterans and their families are welcome to be part of this commemoration of those who served. For more information or to register for the event, please contact my office at 412-571-2169 or visit my website at www.pahouse.com/msmith. Thank you very much.
The American Legion, we're a powerful force for the nation. We pledge ourselves to our veterans, our youth, a strong national defense, and Americanism. These four pillars shape our work and what we do for America. We work relentlessly within our four pillars of service, and we succeed. We're committed to making sure all veterans receive the benefits they deserve for the sacrifices they've made in service to America. We support and promote citizenship and integrity in America's future leaders. We know what policies, tools, and manpower our military needs to protect this great country. We fight to get these things done. We're patriots through and through. We promote and defend these values every day in communities across the nation. Go to legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
Our fugitive has been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven terrain, barring any injuries, is 4 miles per hour. What I need from each and every one of you is a full target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, and doghouse in that area. Your fugitive has just cashed in his 401k plan, and all he had to do was roll it over.
Learn about rollovers and protecting your financial future, and choose to save.
You can't mess with a big dog.
I am Joan Rivers with an important announcement. Getting old is horrible, okay? Horrible.
You're not old. I mean, you're older, but you're not old.
You want to see old?
Oh, God.
Yes, grow up, for goodness sakes. The last man to hit on me was an undertaker. I know where
I don't want to talk about
this. Well, you're going to
Mom.
have to talk about it. It's the future. It's coming right at us. And I'm not worried about dying. It's getting there. I mean, heaven is going to be fabulous. It's going to be a giant shopping mall, and there's going to be 20% off on everything, except for me, 44.
You know, you're doing jokes, and I'm just not ready.
Well, you have to be ready. You have to listen to me. Look, there are things to discuss. They're going to be my needs. They're going to be my wants.
You know, Mom, I don't want to hear this. I just don't want to hear this. La, la, la,
Don't give me la, 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 la,
I
la.
don't. I can't. I can't
Talk
do this.
to your family about aging, even
No.
if they're not ready to listen. Come on, listen to me. Listen to me.
For the first time?
Yes, for the first time.
No matter who you are, it's not easy talking about aging. For help, go to voa.org/talk. A message from Volunteers of America.
In 1776, the Reverend John McMillan established two divisions of his congregation, the Eastern Division being called Lebanon and the Western Division being called Bethel. Bethel was incorporated in 1886 as Bethel Township. Rich in agricultural and farmland, and by the start of the 20th century, Bethel grew as a result of advances in railroads and transportation. Pittsburgh Terminal Coal Company built Bethel's first coal mine in Mullingar in 1902. And in 1921, a model mining housing community was built in Coverdale. Pittsburgh Railway's trolley system provided transportation through the 1920s and 30s, and currently Port Authority of Allegheny County's light rail system that runs through Bethel Park and the South Hills has become a major mode of transportation. In 1949, due to enormous growth, Bethel Township was named Bethel Borough as a borough form of government, and by the 1970s had grown with residential development and commercial businesses to become a home rule municipality known as Bethel Park, with the 2010 census reporting the population as 32,313 residents. The municipality of Bethel Park remains one of the largest populated suburbs in the South Hills. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Clifford Morton, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of Bethel Park, and on behalf of the Bethel Park Municipal Council, do hereby proclaim this day, June 7, 2011, to be known as the 125th birthday celebration of the municipality of Bethel Park, in honor of all citizens and elected officials, both past and present.
Hey, you ready? Of course I am. What are you waiting for? I was waiting for you. So we're gonna continue the hubby thing real quick. Okay, places everyone. In a minute! Do I have to do everything myself? You can't do it all by yourself. I have to say that... Sure I can. No, he can't. And neither can I. So why don't you come on down to BPTV and help us make some of the great community programs you see on this station every day. Yeah! I mean, we can help you make your TV show ideas a reality. It's pretty awesome. So come on down. I mean, I am pretty good, but I'm sure I could use your help.
What's in the box?
Sports, TV shows.
What's in the box? What's in the box? Come with me. Do you want to know what's in the box? It's you.
Hide and seek? No. Kids often withdraw when their needs aren't being met. So it's up to us as parents to communicate with them. And once they know we care, well, we don't really have to say much at all. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.